Welcome to Warblog. Today I'm going to have a quick look at the Jaffna offensive. Mainly because it's a simple game. Don't really have long, so we're going to test out a few. Well, we'll see how the new sort of end of turn process works. So this is part of the Sri Lankan Civil War. It's when the Tamil Tigers attack the Jaffna peninsula. It's only a real sort of brief note in the Wikipedia, so it's not as though this is a major event of any particular note. I mean, it sort of says here it's talking about the LTT offences in Mutar and Jaffna. We've done the Mutar one. I haven't done a video for it, but the game exists, and so it's talking about fierce fighting. Took place. Around basically in Mutar. And soon afterwards, 17 persons. Blah blah blah. Meanwhile, north of the country, some of the bloodiest fighting since 2001 took place after the Tamil Tigers essentially launched a massive attack on the Sri Lankan army defence lines in the Jaffna Peninsula on the 11th of August. They used a force of 400 to 500 fighters in the attack, which consisted of a load of amphibious assaults, as well as artillery, etc., etc. So it's basically, this whole thing is based on that one paragraph, and it's not even really, I don't know where this halale is. I looked for it, I couldn't find it, so I sort of gave up. But it says this is the thing about things like the Sri Lankan Civil War that sort of deterred me in the past from doing them, is that they're so bitty. It's saying this is, meanwhile, in the north of the country, some of the bloodiest fighting since 2001. So this is like in 5 years, and it consists of just 400 to 500 fighters. So you've got to sort of think, well, how extensive were these defensive lines? I mean, if each one of these companies has 200, there's more than that. So you have to assume that they're very small elements. These are not supposed to move. These are just there to represent sort of bridgeheads. I've no idea what the mechanics will be like across there. I mean, it should work because I've done it, but I'm always sort of thinking, well, did I mess up in some way? I mean, for example, if I move on to this causeway or bridge, it should be very easy to attack. I haven't really done the sort of playtesting on that, but the thing is, you might sort of find that you're going to sort of move there and then attack, and in theory you should find it very difficult, and maybe this would be a good one to test that, but I'm not going to test that now. All I want to do is really just sort of play it, because I have actually already had a little blast on this because I sort of felt like it, and essentially you've got these. I wanted to just check whether the marines worked and things, but we've got a few sort of elements here. Now the first thing to sort of maybe mention is what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to move on to this little point, Mandietivu. Last time I sort of sat around here in the water, but you could attack into the water. I don't know how that works either. There's a lot of scope for playtesting certain rules in this scenario, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to move here. The reason being, and I'm going to move here. That's my first time. I'm preparing for my assault on here. There's other reasons for preparing for the assault, mainly because they're pretty tough in there, and we don't get our 5-to-1 bonus. So this really does reflect a sort of, an attack. It doesn't say that there was an overwhelming victory, but it's difficult and possibly not something that will be won. The only thing that we don't have it are actually that I might put in here, and I haven't, it is some kind of reinforcements, because in theory you could just sit there with the artillery pounding this, because they don't have any artillery to sort of counterfire. Maybe I should give them some artillery actually. It is sort of a base setup, but I just didn't want to sort of overload it because it does say there was just 400 to 500 sort of people involved. But what we got here, if you look under here, these units are now a different colour. I'm not so unhappy with that actually, and you can see them down here. It means they've used. There's absolutely nothing I can do with these now. These still have some movement, but I've finished their movement, so I know that. But they're still that colour. I'm not moving this or this. I have sort of looked at this before, and I'm not sure how best to sort of move him forward. What I did, I moved into there and attacked into there at 1-to-1 odds with an exchange, but I'm not happy with that. I might sort of go across the river, but that would use up all my movement. But what I did do was this. I'll do it again because it's such a simple move. I only used 2 of them this time. Last time I used 3 and it was overkill, but presumably 3 would get me to 7-to-1. That's only 5-to-1, but I did okay. So you can see now these 2 have been moved up, but this guy's got some he can get a 2-to-1 against that. I'm going to go for it. So there's just an exchange. But as you can see now, all these counters are moved up. You can see there's no more movement, nothing more I can do with those. This little guy, you see, I'm sort of stuck really. I don't want to move there and attack because I know it's going to be a 1-to-1 because I tried it. I don't want to move across there because all my movement will be out. I don't want to move to there because that leaves this route open. It seems that this is the only place to move, and then you just sit there. Okay, so that ends that turn. Although, really, there's nothing they can do. Here, I'm going to hold there. It's difficult to know what to do here, really. What I think I'm going to do is move to there. Move him. Move him there, so he's now moved up. I'm going to attack into that hex at least. So that pushed him back. Now that would be a 1-to-1 in there. But he's going to recover. So that's that. Okay, so now I moved him there because the next move he's going to move there, and that blocks that route. But it seems now as though with this retreat here that they could start to use all that quite in earnest. But here, I think I'm going to move up. And put in an attack on that. An exchange. Okay, well let's attack this one because he's at 3 depression, so this should be quite good odds. And we eliminated him, that's what we need. So on that momentum, let's push this way. And a DR. So that's all that moved up now, as indicated by the moved counters. Still leaves me a bit weak along this line, but that was, I think, significant enough. But here is the sort of the exciting bit, I think. Let's see what we can do here. So we can just sit here with artillery. That's the thing. We should really give them some artillery to sort of at least put a time limit on that, or to make it go one way or the other. 6.5. 0.6. Interesting. Okay, so now what we can do now is use our marine units. Oh, okay. I wonder if I can get into there, or is it even going to be worth it? No, better off stacking because it could attack like 4. Now the question is, what's his defense going to be like? He'll be worth 1. He'll be worth like 2. So that's 3. So they could be worth 6, which will give them over 5. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually just test the water on this round because I can afford to wait and just do an attrition. And you see, I would have been on a 1 to 2. If I'd attacked, I'd probably definitely lost. But after the next artillery exchange, I might come out a little better on that. So you can see now, virtually everything is black of my units, apart from these, which are just they're just there as holding units. So you can see I'm fully moved up, so I don't really have to sort of think too much. I'm not sure I like that, but that's how that's working. Well, I've obviously got some problems down here. I'm going to try and do what I wanted to do. I'm going to leave him there to recover. Try and build this line up here. Probably fail, but he's going to sort of move back this. Well, I don't know really. Is there any point in holding that? I mean, if I move a lot here, obviously I stop them from flanking along this dune, but they're just going to use brute force to come through this way. It's sort of irrelevant. I'm better off committing myself to a defence, and if we can at least hold that, we can then move this way to defend there. So I think I'm going to do that. So he's got depressions 4. If we can actually maybe push him back. So that was a DE. Push him up to 7. Leave him there to recover. So that's all that. Here, nothing to do. I'm going to leave him now. I could sort of bring him round, but we're still sort of holding that bridgehead. Okay. Okay, well let's just do this one first because it's the most exciting. 1.6. We need to get something on this other unit that keeps recovering. Okay, so we've routed one of them and the other one is at 0.4 now. Okay, we should be able to attack now. That was bizarre. How did that happen? Oh, he's dug in now. I wish there was a go back button. He's dug in, which pushed his odds up again. Oh, that's stupid. It's not paying attention. And here, we've really got to commit our time sort of destroying these units. I mean, this is what this is about. It's not really necessarily a race over there. So let's push back. Let's make sure we get that. Well, we got it, but the 12 was a tough roll. But we can now push that line that way and attack in there with a DR. Could do a 1-to-1 there, probably. I'm not going to. Now we've got at least a little control over that line. Well, they're happy. Well, not, because they've lost the unit. here. That's the one with 7. They can't get it. Okay. We'll leave that line there. We'll leave that. Could do some rockets in here or something, because he's just going to get blown away now. What we could do maybe is a couple of small units up here that you could then sort of use one way or another. They're all on 2, so they're just going to sit there now. Here, well, we've got to keep pushing. Look at that. One was eliminated and the other one routed. Okay. We're going to recover with those. So that's it really. There's not much more they can do. I mean, they've still got this sort of this hold here. The only thing we can do is try and move him round, and that's that. Okay. .8. That's what we need. 2.1. We're going to leave it another round, let them recover. Let's just put everyone in on this. Probably overkill, but I feel like it. 7-1 DE. I just pushed him back though. Okay. And why not? Oops. Okay, well, not a lot of choice here. It's not going to be a good attack, but I think we're desperate. A 1-1 and an exchange. And that's that. Okay. Let's finish this. That's 6.8. 18% chance of routing as it is. And this should be it. He routed at 1-1. Was that it? 3.6. Why did we not get our... Oh, I know what's going on here. I think I can award myself a stupid prize now. I thought that they were irregulars. They're not irregulars at all. They're Marines, so they're just at ones. They're just at ones. But we got the 1-1 and the route, so that was... That's interesting, really. I'm going to leave it at that. that is more interesting than I thought it was going to be, because I just assumed that these Marines would have a much better time of it, but they're not irregulars. So it really comes down to artillery, and they did have the artillery. I mean, that's what it says, an artillery barrage, and I can't see. It doesn't say that they won. It was just an attack, and considering that the Tamil Tigers held this and this as well as a bit of this, you wonder how they would reinforce that and how reinforcements would arrive, and you can maybe assume that some reinforcements would arrive here. So if they haven't done it by turn, I don't know, turn 10 or something, we're on turn 6, if they haven't done it by turn 7, for example, then we can put in maybe some Sri Lankan reinforcements to reflect the fact, I think they had the upper hand with regards to that side of things. They were just vulnerable from not knowing where attacks were going to happen, but once they did happen, they probably had the ability to bring in, large numbers of troops from elsewhere, because I don't think this would not have been reinforced. But as I said, there's only that one little paragraph to work from. So it's an interesting little scenario. I like the way the Marines work. I like the way I just thought they were irregulars. I was sort of assuming that, but they're not. So they're a lot weaker. I'm just going to try one little thing. Yeah, irregulars can't go into the sea. I can never remember because there's quite a lot of rules now. I can never remember them. But anyway, that's that. I will make a couple of little adjustments, but I hope you enjoyed that. If you feel that you could put your wits on that, then give it a go, and I'll speak to you later. Cheerio.